style story into what you're doing to sell will be the most powerful thing that you can do to attract more of the right buyers, because people get drawn in by the love of your art, but they stay because of the story.
You're listening to Thrive by Design, business, marketing, and lifestyle strategies for your jewelry brand to flourish and thrive. Let's get started.
Welcome to the Thrive by Design podcast, episode 183. How to simplify your business to make more money this year. That's what it's all about, people. Anyway, Happy New Year. I don't know if it's all about the money, but sometimes it's nice to think that it would be awesome to make more money having a simpler life in a simpler business. And I just want to plant the seed for that, because what if you were to end 2019 feeling a sense of relief because your business is a lot easier than it was when you started the year? And I think sometimes as creative thinkers and creative minds, we have a tendency to overcomplicate things. I don't know what you think, but I know that sometimes that's true in my life. And so I'm on this consistent flow of simplifying things in my businesses to make it easier. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my journey, some of the things that I've done, some of the things that I've helped designers do. And, let's make this year awesome, right? We're going to kick ass this year. I think we're all going to kick ass. So we start kicking ass by, we just opened up enrollment today, actually, to our Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp. It's something we launch every year, early January, to help designers build an amazing year and really grow their businesses this year. We do this bootcamp for a couple of reasons, because we know that after the holiday season, we're kind of burnt out. We're probably sick of what we're saying to ourselves. We're kind of out of ideas. And we need oftentimes a brand refresh to really dive in, to talk about our messaging, to take a look at our collections, to take a look about why we're doing this, and really digging in deep into, all the things that make our brand ours, our jewelry brand ours, and really dive deep into the things that make an unforgettable or a timeless brand, whatever kind of word that you want to use, remarkable brand, those brands that actually stand out. And it's really fun because over the last couple of weeks, I've been talking to a lot of designers who've been with us for a very long time. In fact, I just, before I got on recorded this podcast, I was on with one of our designers who took our Laying the Foundation course quite a long time ago. Her name's Kristen Mara, and she participated in one of these boot camps way back in the day in one of our training series. And the cool thing about watching her grow, now it's 3 or 4 years later, she's working with us again in a different capacity, but just watching what she's been able to do while working a full-time job and having 2 kids, raising 2 kids on her own as a single mom. And it's pretty impressive. I mean, the girl, I didn't get permission to share her sales numbers, so I'm not going to do it, but she's making full-time income as a side hustle right now. And her number one goal this year is to be able to quit her full-time job. And I hope I'm not spilling the beans, Kristen. But anyway, one of the things that I thought has been really remarkable is to see how she's transformed her brand and really grown it to the place where it is today, not only from a visual branding aspect, but the collection development, the pricing, where she's come as a designer, and how she's been able to manage all of this stuff doing her business part-time. So it's pretty remarkable. And it's one of my favorite things to watch, this process of growth with the designers that come into the Flourish and Thrive community, many times through boot camps like the Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp. So I would love to invite you. If you're new to the community, awesome. Welcome to Flourish and Thrive Academy. If you're someone who has been part of our community for a while, it's always great to revisit some of the things that you've learned from us and do a little brand jumpstart at the beginning of the year and make over your business in a good way so that you can kind of elevate all the things that you've created and built upon. This boot camp was really designed for people who are in that phase where they're trying to get consistent sales and consistent exposure and really speak to their dream clients. So if you're in that place where you aren't getting the kind of sales that you want, you're uncomfortable with sales, you don't know how to talk about your jewelry brand, this boot camp is for you. And I'd like to invite you to head on over there. And it's a really great place to be. So you can obviously head on over to the show notes, or you can head straight here to flourishthriveacademy.com/makeover. and register for boot camp. It starts officially on January 15th. If you haven't listened to it yet, I can't recommend enough episode 182 with Rhonda Britton. It's all about facing your fears this year to stretch the way you think about yourself to kind of achieve some of those really big goals that you have this year. One of the things that I know, it's like when sometimes we want things and we have this passion or desire for things, and we put our goals on paper, or we think we want to do something, but then we don't do it. We become paralyzed in fear about moving forward with our dreams. And what ends up happening is that we never take action on those things. And so Rhonda's format is really amazing. Highly recommend that you take a look at it. We work on some of these same type of things in the Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp. So I would love for you to make sure that you sign up and also listen to podcast 182 because it will be life-changing. So anyway, next week we have a fun episode. It's all about why most jewelry brands are broke and what to do about it. If you feel like you're one of those jewelry brands that is broke ass. Just joking. The title of the podcast is kind of, tongue in cheek. Obviously, hopefully you're making some money. But if you feel like you're really struggling, I really would highly recommend that you mark your calendar for next Tuesday and listen to that episode because it is going to be epic and it will really, really help you kind of overcome some of the things that are holding you back and think about the things in your business that you need to think about in order to have a highly profitable business, not just a business that's making money, but one that is actually paying you a decent salary. And so this is super, super important. You need to think about this. I've been talking to a lot of designers, as I mentioned earlier, when I was sharing Kristen's story over the past couple of weeks, months, over the past, I guess, like 4 or 5 months, just because I like checking in with people at the end of the year to see how they're doing. And it's just fun to see growth and opportunity. And I promise you that your business will grow if you do what we tell you to do. Case in point, we had another designer, Karina Harris, who started with us around the same time as Kristen did. And the cool thing is that Karina started with us, taking our Laying the Foundation course. And 6 years later, I've just like blown away by what she's been able to create. And she really has a lifestyle business. She's not tied to it. She gets to travel. She personally is not doing any wholesale. She's selling a huge majority of her products online and at in-person events. And, it's amazing to see how she's really created a business that works for her. And so I want to help you do the same thing. I'm not going to lie to you. This is not like an overnight fix. This takes dedication and commitment to yourself and your business. And that's why we're talking about how to kind of simplify to focus in so that you start making more money this year. Just like the designers that I've spoke about have done in their businesses, I want to help you do the same. And so let's dive into today's episode. First and foremost, last year, a friend of mine gave me a book. It's called The One Thing. And in that book, basically the premise of that book is to really be focusing on the one thing that you're best at. And I feel as though many of us try to dabble in a bunch of different things, whether it be the way we design, like we're trying all these different kinds of designs and we're not super focused on one thing in particular. Or maybe it's that we are focusing on all these different revenue streams or different channels and our energy's kind of scattered. Or maybe it's that we like to complicate our marketing or complicate our sales messages or complicate actually our sales outreach, all the things that are happening. So what I want to help you do, hopefully by the end of this episode, you are going to feel like you have an opportunity to simplify. And so I would love for you to save this episode because I feel like some of the questions that I'm going to walk you through in this episode to actually ask yourself are going to be super helpful in helping you really identify what matters most this year. And when you can do that, you will make more money, but you just got to focus. So are you ready to dive in? So I want to start this episode really talking about, so if you're not driving or something like that, and you have the opportunity to take a pen and paper, highly recommended. You can also stop the audio, write some notes if you want to do that. I want to start with some questions that you should ask yourself. What are you most excited about as you start this new year? Is there anything in your business or your life that you're really trying to create? Is it the opportunity for a fresh start? Is it something new that you want to try? This is a really important thing to identify because all of us, we go through life and we evolve as human beings. We evolve as business owners. We evolve in business and we start our business in a certain way and then feel sometimes like we're tied to how we started it. And we get stuck and then we get and this can happen in any area of your life, but I'm just going to use business as a model since this is a business podcast for jewelry designers and fashion people and accessories people, etc. But my thought is that sometimes we start in one way and then we feel trapped by what we've created. And so I just want to encourage you that every quarter, every year, that you really reevaluate what is lighting you up. And if what you've been currently doing is dragging you down and is not exciting anymore, then think outside of the box in a new way. Today, actually, the day that this podcast is released, I'm launching a new brand called Creatives Rule the World. And that's the messaging all around this, is to really dive in and tap into your creativity every single day to figure out what it is and to come up with those ideas that are going to help you really grow your business and step into your role as a visionary. You'll be hearing more about that. There's not much over there now, but the website's live. But stay focused with me here, people, because I want to talk a little bit more about some other questions that you want to ask yourself. Now let's take a look at your business. What do you love most about your business as it is? Like, what are the things that really light you up inside the business? Existing things that you get excited to do. And I really want you to think outside of the box beyond just making, especially if you're someone who, if you've taken our jewelry brand brilliance factor quiz and you came out with the outcome of maker with the mostest, you probably are one of those people who loves to make a lot of jewelry and you're not really sure how to kind of transition that love for making jewelry into an actual business. Or if you're doing it, you always get drawn back into the making instead of the promoting and selling your business. And as we know, if you have a business, you have to spend 50 to 70% of your time actually selling or making money or marketing your business, as opposed to just making, if you want to have a business. And so this is really important to think about the parts of your business that you love the most. And I highly encourage you to think beyond just the making. My next question for you is, what parts of the business do you dread the most? This is really important to identify early on. If it's sales, I want you to figure out a way that you can get excited about sales again. And here's the reason why. Sales, just kidding. Sales is the lifeblood of your business. The revenue coming into your business is the thing that makes this a business. So if you dread sales and you don't have a solution to making more sales in your business and you have a business, I want you to rethink it if you are really dreading sales and you're putting it off, because unless you are one of the rare birds who can actually find someone to sell for you as well as you can sell your own jewelry yourself, then I would recommend that you make peace with your despise of sales. I don't even know if that's the right way to say it. And here's the reason why. Sales should be fun. You should always be approaching this from a place of service and thinking about, what it is, how can you serve your customers in a way? Because you remember, like, most of the reason why designers and makers and brands, independent brands, get nervous about sales is that they're worried about rejection. It's not that they don't like to sell necessarily. It's that their art is so personal to them that if someone said no, it feels like someone doesn't like you. And it's human nature to not like that energy. Instead of thinking of it as coming from a place of service and that you are not for everyone. And the right people will be drawn to you. And the people who aren't right for your brand aren't going to be right for you. So if you can change your mindset and the way you think about it, it becomes a non-dreaded thing. Because I will tell you, store owners, consumers, buyers, like, they all want to buy directly from the designer. Like, if you think about it, I was on QVC back in 2006, I think 2006 and 7 or 2005 and 6. I can't remember. Anyway, I had a couple of shows, 1 or 2 shows, and one of them is on YouTube. You can Google it, Tracy Matthews on QVC. And when I was on there, they really want the designer to be on there because it's your story. I was terrified to be on TV. I didn't know what I was doing. Now I do like video and TV and live broadcasting all the time, and it feels comfortable. But back then, it was terrifying to me. But they know that when the designer is on, they sell way more than if it's just a host. And so there's a reason people want to buy from the designer. They like you. They want to get to know you. They want to buy into your vision of what you're doing for the brand. Then I also want to think about what you can let go of. This is very important because a lot of times we panic about, we feel like we have to hold on to everything in the business, whether it be revenue streams or whether it be parts of the business. And then we hold on tightly and we never get ourselves out of working in the business instead of working on it to actually grow it. And this doesn't really matter at any stage in business. I want you to really think about, why are you doing this? Did you do this because you have a passion for making jewelry? Did you do this because you really want to see your work on other people? Are you doing this because, you love to see someone's face when they light up and put something on? And are you doing this because you love earning a profit doing what you love. Like all these things are really valuable and important. And I want you to think about the parts of the business that you can let go of that are either unnecessary or someone else can do so that you can focus on our next topic, which is really about the big picture. So some of the things that we're going to walk you through in the Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp, which I highly recommend that you join, is really about knowing what you stand for. And this really taps into your business why, your core values, your mission statement, and your vision for your business. When you're really clear on your why, that you're actually doing something and what it is that you're actually doing, all the other pieces of the puzzle fall in line. The big picture also includes your goals. Like if you're not crystal clear on like what it is that you're trying to create, it will be impossible to actually create anything. And you'll continue spinning your wheels and feel frustrated that your business is not moving forward. Then, in addition to knowing why you're actually doing your business, you need to know why your goals are important to you, because this is how you can really get to that next level of success in business. Because you can throw out some random money goal, but if there's not an internal resonance about why that's important, then that vibration won't catch up with you. And here's what I mean by that. Let's say I said I wanted to make $1 million this year. And number one, I didn't believe that. And there wasn't really a good reason for me to make $1 million. And I couldn't identify why I really wanted to make it. I was just like throwing it out there. Then the chances of me actually achieving that goal of making $1 million is going to be pretty slim. But let's say I said I wanted to make $1 million because I wanted to help, a family member get out of a bad situation. I also wanted to invest in my future and be able to put some money, a lot of money away for retirement and start investing in real estate. That why becomes much more powerful and ingrained in my psyche. And it becomes like, it almost starts that fiber of growth in your aura or in your being. And it doesn't matter if you don't want to make $1 million. I mean, that's like a ridiculous number to even throw out there. I mean, I would like to make $1 million. I'm going to figure out how I can bring home $1 million next year. I'm just joking, but maybe I'm not. Who knows? Anyway, I'm saying this because it becomes really important when you know why your goals are important to you. Is it because, you want to stop working at 3 because you want to be able to pick your kids up from school? That might be a goal. It might be that a goal like some of our designers have who are working full time to replace their full-time income so that they can actually quit their job because they're tired of working for someone else and building someone else's dream. Or it might be that you want to leverage more of your online sales instead of doing just wholesale because you want to have bigger profit margins and have a better life. It might be that you want to raise or elevate your collection and raise your prices because you want to do less work while making more money. There can be a lot of different kinds of goals that you can have. Most goals in a business have to have at least, I always recommend people focusing on 3 major goals that they want to achieve this year. And one of them, I always think it's really important to have a financial number too, because it's the money that makes your business go around. Not everyone agrees with me on that, but that's fine. But also, if you don't have money that makes you feel secure and support yourself, unless you're independently wealthy or someone else is supporting you, then it becomes really hard to make anything happen. And then I mentioned this before, but you need to create space and time for you to work on your business instead of in it. And also a lot of time for creativity. This is very important. And then you want to create a main focus when you're looking at the big picture. Like, what is your main focus? And then dialing that down into 1 quarter at a time. So you can have a theme for each quarter. And that is how you really start to simplify things and make it work. Start cutting the stuff out that's not working. And this ties across many, many different avenues. So that might tie across the things that you do as a brand, the things that you do with your time, the things that you do with your money, things that you do with your marketing and sales, and the things that you do with your process. So I'm going to walk you briefly through these things because I think it's really important, even though I'm kind of stumbling over my words. So let's talk about branding first. One of the things that I see designers do often is that I was talking to one today on our Facebook Live show, and we were walking her through a sales conversation, and it was really interesting because I asked her, what would happen, because she was talking about this mindset issue about how she couldn't close the sale. And so I was coaching her on it. And I asked her, what she would talk about. She starts talking about all the features and benefits of the actual jewelry product. And she didn't tell me anything about the story of the brand or what she was standing for and what was going on. And so every time she would try to close, she would assume that the buyer wasn't going to buy from her and instead put her own stuff on it and then would lose the sale or not follow up if someone wasn't available. And so next week, in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing an episode all about storytelling. And I really recommend that you tune in because this is a really powerful tool that you will continue to need in all of your sales and marketing efforts, online, offline, wholesale, regardless of your business model, in person. Your ability to tell stories will be the number one tool that you have in actually branding yourself and selling more. So I highly recommend that you learn how to storytell. We walk you through the basic aspects of that in the Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp as well. So let's do this. From a visual perspective, you want to keep your branding simple. Don't make it too complicated. Come up with some templates that you use for your social media. Come up with, something simple that you're using for your packaging and stick with it. Don't try to reinvent things and keep trying to, do something out of sorts, I guess, in a way. Also, branding really ties into what you're doing with your collection. I see people getting so complicated with their offering. How can you simplify that to really dial in on the key pieces that are elevating your brand and getting you to the next level? Once again, we talk a lot about this in the Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp, and I would love to invite you to join that, because this part about it is really learning as a designer to tie your signature style story into what you're doing to sell will be the most powerful thing that you can do as a designer or a maker to attract more of the right buyers, because people get drawn in by the love of your art, but they stay because of the story. And it's important how these two things weave together, or else you're just selling your product based on a USP, a unique selling proposition, which means you're competing on materials and price, which good luck, because then you're going to be competing with Walmart and Costco and all the big box stores, which is not what you want to be doing, and Amazon. You want to be competing only with yourself and attracting the right people who value what you do. And there's this great saying out there, this epic blog about this. What does it really take to build a successful business? If you had 1,000 raving fans who believed in what you did, 1,000 dream clients who were buying from you and referring you out, you would never need to spend money on marketing again. And your business would continue to grow and sustain, and you would have a really successful business. And so think of that as you continue to grow your business. How can you start attracting that 1,000 true fans? Even if it starts just with 100 true fans who are willing to share anything that they do, anything that you do, and they keep buying from you. The next important part about this is really about your time. Your time is your most precious gift, more than anything else that you have. If you waste it on the dumb things in your business, you're going to be losing out. Most of you, whenever we talk to new designers who haven't been in our community before, we've trained a lot of you, but the number one things that people do is they spend their productive hours on the things that don't matter the most, which the productive hours of your day should be the time that you spend on the revenue generating activities, the things that get you sales, exposure, marketing, and grow your business. It should be every day or every week, a huge portion of your time, 50 to 75% of your time should be spent on growing your sales and your business and reaching out to new partners, reaching out for sales, getting the exposure that is going to get the word about what you do out there. This is really, really important. In the beginning, it's going to seem like you're working really hard for nothing, but then once it finally clicks, you're going to see great results from this. And if you just keep putting the energy out, you will have a great result. Trust me on this. Focus on the most important things first. This is really, really important. If your business isn't growing, be honest with yourself. What are you actually doing with your time? Are you wasting it on social media? Are you doing all these other things? This is really, really important to figure out what you're doing. Because if your business isn't growing, be honest with yourself. What are you actually doing? Probably the wrong thing. And then evaluate what's most important to you. Marketing and sales are a must-have for your jewelry business, so most of your time should be focused on that. Simplify in a way that actually works with you. Streamline, time block your days. You've heard us talking about this before. It's really, really important. The next piece of this is let's talk about the money. You need to honestly evaluate your revenue streams. One thing that I did when I launched my new business back in 2010, after I closed my first business, was I had all these different revenue streams. So I was like, I'm going to think about all the ways that I can make money, but keep it kind of easy for me. But I'm not going to do wholesale. So I was told by my consultant not to do wholesale. And I was doing private label. I was brokering diamonds. And I don't know why I started brokering diamonds. I think someone wanted me to try and sell one once. So I'm like, oh, that's a revenue stream. I'll try that. I was making my custom designs. I was also designing some one-of-a-kind pieces that I was selling on my website. And then I was freelance designing for another company and I feel like there was 3 other things that I was doing, and I was also consulting. And so what I realized was that I was spread so thin that none of those revenue streams were really taking off except for my custom jewelry business and this one freelance customer that I had that I was designing for. And so I dropped all the other revenue streams. And even though I still occasionally would take on like a private label customer, it's not something that I actively pursue or talk about. So I want you to honestly evaluate where the money's coming from. And if you're not getting money into your business yet, then where do you want the money to come from? And if you have like an abundance of income and you're spending a lot of time and energy on something that is not really at least 1/3 of your revenue, I want you to really evaluate, is that important for you to do anymore? Depending on how many revenue streams you have. Because the more you can simplify and focus on 1, 2, or 3 key revenue streams, the better it is, the better your energy will be and the better your money will be. And this really simplifies things. So drop the things that aren't lighting you up and attach an excitement level to the things that are lighting you up. Like, is it a 1 or a 10 on a scale of 1 to 10? Then you need to evaluate the margins. This is really tied into pricing. I had a designer who has worked with us for a very long time text me tonight. She was in one of our high level programs a while back, and we were just messaging about like where she is in business now and what's going on. And she was talking about how she did really well this year. She did about 150,000 in sales. And I said, well, how much did it cost you to make that? She was like super excited about the fact that she did that. And she's like, before she would tell me how much it cost her to make it, she's like, well, I'm charging more, but I'm still not charging enough. And I said, all right, girl, let's talk about this. And she's like, we've been trying to get enough money in our business and X, Y, and Z is running out. So I just felt bad. I wanted to just take on every single order that I possibly could, even if I knew it wasn't the right thing. And so this is like a twofold thing. It's like the more you can say no to the customers that are wrong, the more customers that are right will start to come in. But also just like slowly inching up your margins and sticking with that. Because I think sometimes we get afraid that if we raise our prices, people aren't going to know. And I can tell you countless stories of designers who that's their story. They feel like they wouldn't pay that much. And so they don't want to raise their prices because it's their own money story going into this. Whereas a lot of times people are happy to pay whatever it is that you charge. This is this happened in one of our groups. Designer was like putting a custom design fee of $125. She has a lower end price point of jewelry. It's not super expensive. And she was feeling like it wasn't enough. So she raised it to $150. And that really made her like squirm because she's like, someone's not going to pay that for me to restring their pearls or something like that. And then she decided to just go for it. And she quoted a customer with the new materials and everything, $500. And the customer's like, perfect. Where can I pay? And there was no resistance at all. And this woman had created this story in her mind this whole time that no one would pay that when it was really her own story. So I want you to get really clear on how you're pricing your things for your worth to make sure that your margins are good enough, because that's one of the things that you're going to really, if you simplify that, you charge enough, you'll make a lot more money without even having to do more work. Hello, simplifying. Exactly. And just on a final note here, making more money sometimes means raising your prices and eliminating the stuff that clouds your core offerings, which is really, really important. The next piece of this is about marketing. You want to evaluate marketing that has a super high return on investment in the stuff that doesn't cost a lot of money first. So think about how you're putting your brand out there, where you're investing your money on getting exposure, et cetera, and how you can simplify this to make it so that it's the stuff that's easy, that's getting the most impact is where you spend the most time. So for instance, if you're sending out regular PR pitches and maybe you invested in someone to do PR for you and you weren't getting a return on investment from that and you weren't getting pitches back after covered after 3 months of trying, then you might want to think about that as like, is this the right fit for me now if I'm not getting the right exposure? You might need to give it for PR, you probably need to give it a little bit more than 3 months. You probably need to give it 6 months. But is that somewhere where you'd want to put money in? Or is that something you want to just maybe discover how to do yourself? Because a lot of times you get a better impact. I have to tell you, every single time our PR coach over here in SOS, and she's also does trainings for laying the foundation, our signature course in the PR section. One of the things that Sabina Hitchin talks about a lot is the ability to pitch PR and how simple it is once you develop the relationships. So you 100% can do this on your own. And oftentimes you get a better return on investment when you do it your own because you have more of a skin in the game to try and get results on it. And so a lot of the marketing activities that we do, digital marketing strategies, social media strategies, email marketing strategies, sales automation strategies, like all these things that we do to market our businesses, whether it be, marketing to wholesale stores or doing events where we're getting our products actually in front of our customers. It all requires consistency and opportunity for you to build a relationship with your audience and then creating that know, like, and trust factor around it. And that comes through storytelling and all the marketing materials that you're actually putting out on all of your marketing channels. And so creating this marketing framework becomes really important. Planning it out, having a marketing calendar where you're really diving deep into this framework becomes super important because that consistency and that streamline and that simplifying makes it much easier. And then process. This is really important. And this kind of ties into branding and collection, but I want you to think about this in a different way. There was one point in my career where I had 3 different brands within one company, and it was not good. It was good in a way, but it was like running 3 different businesses, and I became spread very thin. I had a men's collection called TMD Men. I had my Tracy Matthews Fine Jewelry and Tracy Matthews Designs, which was my core bridge collection. And it became really hard to manage all of those. And I noticed that when I had all those going on, I launched the second 2 collections too quickly to each other. And it became really hard to really focus in deep on selling those on a higher level. And in hindsight, I probably would have rolled it out differently. But I want you to think where your process focus is. Are you trying to build 3 businesses within one like I was? Or is there something that's diverting your energy and the processes within your business? If that is the case, you need to streamline and focus. And this requires creating systems, having a system for batching content, evaluating the platforms that you use and ditching the ones that don't work for you. So if you're investing in a bunch of tools or for automation, that's fantastic. But if they aren't really working for you and creating some sort of ROI in time or money, then I would like you to evaluate to decide if that's really the right thing for you, because it might not. It might be an opportunity for you to think outside of the box. And as you do this, I want you to start thinking about 1 or 2 things that you can do really well, and then just let the rest of it go. So if you have 1 or 2 things that work, that are bringing in money that you're doing really well, that could be revenue streams or marketing strategies or whatever it is, create the process around that and let the rest of the stuff go, because you don't need that. Because on our final note, the most important thing that you can do is release the stuff that isn't bringing in the money, honey, because that's how we do it. Anyway, I want you to honestly evaluate your revenue streams and get really clear on what is lighting you up. Because if it's something that no longer serves you, you don't need to hang on to it just because you started that way. It's time to let it go. And that's the whole point of starting fresh in a new year, right? So I just want to leave you with this. Let's start the year off right. Let's simplify our business, because this is how we are going to make more money this year. And I'd love to support you along that path. So if you're interested, please come join us for the Jewelry Brand Makeover Bootcamp. Head on over to flourishthriveacademy.com/makeover and register today. Bootcamp is kicking off next week. It's going to be awesome. And we'd love to help walk you through all these things that we talked about today to help you streamline your business and make more money this year. It's going to be amazing. This is Tracy Matthews signing off. If you haven't done it so yet, I would love for you to rate and review the podcast. Tell us a little bit more about what you're loving about the show. And, we'd love to hear that, because it helps us develop content that you'd like to hear. You can also pop in topics you'd like to hear more about, whether it's launching, growing, or scaling your business and getting to that next level, whether you're just starting out or you're building a $1 million company and beyond. Let us help you flourish and thrive. Happiest of New Year's to you. I wish you the best. Take care, and health and happiness to you and your family.